Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Life's Podcast, VIDEOCAST with SUJATA and Coach Les. We are here today to have a fun discussion about how do we treat people who make mistakes. And I'm here today with my co-host, SUJATA, who has accumulated a wealth of experience during her life, leading to insights and knowledge that cannot be coached or taught in a class. She is a mother, a wife, a journalist, a consultant, activist, leader, and businesswoman domestically, internationally, and in sharing her story, SUJATA strives to provide readers of all backgrounds in any part of the world with real-life examples on how to deal with the unpredictable nature of everyday life. And she and I have teamed up to deliver this amazing opportunity of sharing the areas of training and development that are pertinent to today's business, family, faith, and speaking about all of it through the filters of communications integrity. So with that, I want to welcome everybody to the stage. Thank you so much for being here. I am Coach Les. I'm an integrity coach, and I'm the founder of the 24-hour Bible study on Clubhouse and the Ziegler Legacy Club on Clubhouse. And I specialize in working with clients around communication and problematic, significant communication issues in companies and with personnel and how they interreact and interrelate. And for me, these podcasts have really been an opportunity to look at how people view certain situations, how people communicate, how people hear the same thing, and yet even here, where we're doing the work piece by piece in a situation where we are live on several social media platforms, what makes this such an interesting endeavor is to see how people from all different walks of life hear things, view things with a different pitch. And yet, I've said the same words to 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 people who've all heard the same words, heard the same tonality, and yet they hear things differently. Where does that come from? Well, I'll be the first one to tell you. When I speak, people hear the tones, hear the words that I speak, and it goes through a filter system. And we listen to the interpretation of the words that I'm speaking. The interpretation based on our own personal filters from life. So one person may hear the word bear and immediately think of an animal in the woods. And another person may hear bear and immediately think of skin with no clothing on it. And another person may hear the word bear and think of bearing arms. Now, when you think of that one word being heard three different ways, it's a wonder that we actually communicate anything. And so today, inside of that, our conversation is about how do we treat people who make mistakes? And I want to start by saying, for me, through my training and development, my experience is that people beat themselves up, chastise themselves worse than anything I could ever do. And in that moment, the opportunity is to look and see, okay, how can I support that person in a training and development opportunity in this moment? And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to discuss, look, learn, listen. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Sujata so she can share a little bit and give her take on how do we treat people who make mistakes. Pass the mic to you, Sujata.
Thank you, Coach Les. So, first of all, I would like to, ask a question aloud, and it all depends on everybody's mindset. What do you define as mistake? The whole definition of a mistake in your mind is going to make you analyze, evaluate, judge what a mistake is and how you respond and to another person and to yourself when you define mistake. So it's all to in context, in definition of a situation. That's how I would start looking at it in today's topic.
And do you want to start there by sharing with us your interpretation of it and what you view for yourself around mistake?
Okay, so first of all, I don't really view mistake as mistake in the way that society dictates. I think that every mistake or every, what we say that didn't go down well, or we, were not successful, whatever maybe the words, is basically a learning. There are only very few mistakes which probably, could be termed as mistakes. But on a general rule, it's not a mistake. Suppose you were misinterpreted, or suppose, you tell somebody, okay, it's my mistake that I came and I did not understand what you're saying, then that's not a mistake. That's owning up to ac- acknowledging and admitting that I didn't get it right. And so maybe there is room to get it right. So that I wouldn't call as a mistake. But when we talk and how we make statements, those things contribute to whether we were making a mistake or not. So yeah, misjudging somebody or saying that I made a mistake will have to depend on context.
Thank you, Sujata. Appreciate it. And with that, we'll pass the mic over to Sujata. Excuse me, Sulina. Hi, Sulina.
Hello, Coach Les and Sujata. So I would say that I want to sit and kind of just glean from you guys for right now, because I would say that, kind of going back to what Sujata says, that it's really based on, I guess, through the in a quarter of a mile, exit right. Sorry about that.
Oh my
It's really
goodness.
through the lens of the individual, right? As far as what is coined as a mistake. So I would say that's all that I really have to add to the conversation at this point in time. Because what may be seen, like you started off, Coach Les, it's all about perspective. It's all about interpretation. So I would just like to sit and just glean for right now before I contribute anymore. Thank you. Back over to you, Coach Les.
Thank you so much, Sulina. And Sulina, I definitely think the voice of your GPS driver is absolutely hilarious. And even Joey heard it. So yeah, we both think it's hilarious.
Yeah, how did you download Barry White on your GPS? I only have like one option.
It gives you different options, Joey, to download different voices. Now, what GPS do you use?
I don't know, but we could talk about it offline. I'm not sure, but that was hilarious.
It was, it definitely caught my attention. I'm not even sure I heard what you said after that. I was too busy trying to figure out who he sounded like.
I need you to take a left turn.
Except it was, I need you to take a left turn. Oh, that was awesome. That made me laugh, Selena, and I didn't even hear your laugh.
I'm laughing, Coach Les. I'm laughing, okay? That was a mistake. It's all about perspective now, all right?
Oh, too funny. All right. And with that, I pass the mic over to Michelle. Michelle.
Hello, Coach.
Hi, Michelle.
So you,
How do you treat people who make mistakes?
I'm looking at myself now. Oh boy. Forgiveness. How do I do that? I'm thinking about. All right, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of angry that someone would use to take away my cat. Okay, I'm angry at the person, and I'm praying for the person, but I'm angry at the same time. Pray for salvation, but at the same time, I want to get my cat back. I was gonna give it to her, but then I'm finding out she's doing it just to get money out of it and hurt me, I guess. And how do you? That's a mistake. That's a mistake that she's doing to me, or I can admit. Okay. Oh my God, this is a very. You got me on the spot, Les. Actually. How would I treat someone? How to make a mistake? Wow. Forgiveness, and everyone makes mistakes. It's easy for us to get angry and go, blah, 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 that person, this and this and this. But look, we make mistakes all the time. So it's very easy to look at that person, what they did, and not looking at what we're doing. I think that's what we should look at, is how are we behaving in that situation? Because we're sin, we make mistakes, but we're accountable to our mistakes. And we should say, yeah, I wronged you and I'm sorry. That's what we should do. But for us to treat someone else when they did their mistake, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of prayer and not be revenge or whatever. Do I make sense, Coach?
Yes, keep going. I like how you're unpacking it.
I had to react the right way with this woman that has my cat. I don't think it's probably not the cat that's the issue. It's probably how I was treated. And so I should treat her as she needs the Lord and pray for her. And that makes she change her ways. Do I just let it go and not go to the SPCA and try to, it's in my daughter's name. Do I try to get her back? Is that, what do I do?
So Tina, here's
go and see what goes in here.
Because we're in the 24.
You got me in a spot, Coach.
I know. And because we're here in the 24-hour Bible study, my question for you is going to be, what do you think Christ would do?
Forgive her, definitely.
Okay. And then what else?
Would for me to say, yeah, I want my cat back because she did to me. The cat's not in danger. I know she's taking good care of it, but at the same time, she wants to use me in hostage that cat so she can get money and whatever. And I could let it go, to be honest with you.
And what do you think that
she's stealing the cat at the same time?
Well, that wouldn't be forgiving her, though, would it?
No, it would not. I think maybe God will probably let it. See, that's the part where do I let it go? But I'm thinking I don't want that woman to take advantage of me at the same time. But revenge is wrong too. So I can just love the person. Jesus will love. He let the woman go, that committed adultery.
And
I could do the same thing. I can do the same thing.
And what would that cost you to do that?
What?
I said, and what would that cost you to do that?
It would probably cost me the cat, I guess. I don't know.
Right,
make me feel better.
You had already wanted to give
not
the
knowing
cat.
I don't have revenge and anger.
I
want to keep her. I want her back.
You had already wanted to give the cat away.
I did.
Got it. And now you're changing your mind. And why do you think that is? Who's whispering to you to change your mind? Jesus?
No, I don't think he's saying go do this. No. I think what made me change my mind is the harassment that she got me, and if you don't do this, you're not getting a cat. She said that you didn't, things like you didn't put some money in my GoFundMe to help Cooper out, but I was going to, but I didn't because I was sore and I fell asleep. And I could probably just let it go because it's a lot of work. Or I could call her and say, if we give you can still have my cat.
You could actually say, you could call her, forgive her, connect with her, and gift her the cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'll do that because the more I think about it, the more angry I'm going to get, and that's going to cause a lot of bitterness. So, and this is a perfect topic, and I think I needed to hear this today. Definitely, I can give her the cat. Yes.
How do we?
That's what I do.
Yep. How do we?
Because I was angry about it 10 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. With you.
And this is, by the way, I look at what happens on Clubhouse, and I look how people get stirred up and 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 stirred up until they explode with drama.
Yeah.
And rather than somebody say, stop, what has integrity?
I would have more integrity if I do the right thing.
Exactly.
If I just say, yeah, you can have the cat. I'm not gonna, you can have her, and that's it. Because it does sound wrong. It does sound wrong on my part, and God will have to work on her heart. But at the same time, Coach, I don't want to be taken advantage. At the same time, sometimes I wonder if I'm easy that someone would take advantage of me. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm like, I am kind of acting like this. Like, you know what I mean? But But a lot of people took advantage of Jesus too on the cross, you know, and you know, he was beaten. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He did that for us, but he loved us that much.
Amen.
For me, giving the cat would show her more love. You know, I'm just gonna let her have that cat, Coach. That's my answer. Because I saw something inside of me. I really hate, to be honest. So thank you for the topic.
So I'm super happy to hear that that's where you're at, because you can see now an opening for a possibility that wasn't possible before. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that.
And now when you look back at it, go ahead.
Because the chip is actually in my daughter's name. Because not her, you know. And I did call the police, and they says no, it's like it's your cat. But for me to be angry and act really dumb about it, you're right, Lord. Like, you know, is pretty, you know what I mean? It's wrong. You gotta control your anger, but be angry but not sin too. Like, you're bringing all these things to me, Coach.
Well, isn't that my job?
I'm looking at all the scriptures in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these things that Jesus would do is like coming around. Yes. Yep. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for looking at that. Thank you for taking a different perspective on what's possible.
Yeah. Yep. That's possible. And it's not just that would free her, it would free me up, you know? And then she can, you know, she needs to see, wow, you know, she did this, you know, and maybe, you know, little ways that she can see the Lord, and, you know, she can come to the Lord in her life too. And that's really important too. Yeah. So, thanks, Coach.
You are welcome. All right. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Brother Joey.
Hey. Yeah, had a couple of thoughts, and then Sujata asked that question, kind of opened up another layer of the topic and the question. So where I'm thinking though, as far as for me, Coach, I agreed with you. That was actually going to be my a very similar, if not the same, almost the same answer. The opportunities that we can have when someone makes a mistake, they've already beaten themselves up over it. That's not making. I mean, I guess that's making an assumption. Even if they don't, there's still those opportunities where we could come alongside of them. I've heard it said before that what's a problem? A problem's an opportunity. You know, an opportunity to learn, and a problem or a mistake. But the other part though of a mistake, or when we're thinking about mistakes, and I don't think I think maybe Celine, or maybe it was Michelle. Michelle, I was agreeing with you too. You said this is, the question is kind of putting us in a place, because I think there's so many different ways this conversation can go, and there's a lot of different roads to go down on this conversation. I think the mistake, Coach, that when someone makes it, we were talking about, or you mentioned it first, and I'm agreeing with you, is going to be different, though, than the mistake that when you receive something in the mail and someone says, whatever, it's your phone provider or the city or something like that, that you owe money, a significant amount of money, and after calling and going through the steps of
Did we lose you, Joey?
I can't hear Joey.
I know. I can't either. Huh. Joey, if you can hear, I'm not sure what's going on. Your mic is muted for one. Joey, can you unmute? Joey, can you unmute? Hello? All right, he might be in a bad travel zone, so we're going to jump to Sister Jeanette.
I thought it was me.
I saw that.
I went out, came back in. I said, "What is it?" Because I hit where I'm driving. I always hit a dead zone, so I thought it was me. There's a difference between doing something wrong and being wronged. Are we talking about both, or what are the other?
How do we treat people who make mistakes? So somebody that we know makes a mistake. How do we treat them?
Oh, right. I help, ask them if they need any help. I explain it to them and go over it with them. It's about teaching them. Maybe they need to learn something. Maybe they didn't have, that either education or knowledge to not do something wrong. So that's what I would do. As far as Michelle, she's being wronged. And one thing, Michelle, is, Jesus says to pray for your enemies. If you're being wronged, you want to pray for them because they don't know any different. But as far as making mistakes, I make mistakes. And, when you work in a professional and then you look at the cause and work to do better. And I would treat anybody that way. Life is short. And you can make a difference to others by just being a little bit gracious to everybody. So that's my take on it. As far as if someone did me wrong, made a mistake and did me wrong, I know that growing up, I used to spend a lot of time at my friend's house, and her brothers and sisters used to fight a lot. And I remember hearing mom and dad, they say you're sorry. And you better not say you're sorry if you're going to do it again. Because next time you have to answer to me. So I always remembered that. Don't say you're sorry if you're going to do it again. So I used to use that on my family all the time because they were always, I'm sorry, but then they do it again. So I just started repeating it all the time. And that is an important thing to learn too. If you do something wrong and edit it, hopefully they'll be gracious to you, and at the same time offer that same grace to others when they make mistakes. It's you can if their intent is testing the boundaries, and life isn't about having a bunch of games. You don't play games with people. That's not healthy. It's a mental health issue. That's how I look at it. So just be upfront, admit your mistake, and learn from it. And when somebody else does, have the same grace. That's my take on it, Coach.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And with that, I just want to check and see, Pamela, if you want to come up and join the conversation and share your point of view. Otherwise, I'll pass the mic to Sujata. What are your thoughts, Sujata?
I agree that with what Janet was saying, that if some so-called mistake is repeated again and again, I don't think it remains a mistake, because then you have to question your intent, and it depends on whether you are doing wrong or you're being wronged. That also holds true. So our responses will be different, uh, when it's both sides of the perspective. Yes, you can give yourself grace and you can give others grace too, but like I said, it depends on the context and the situation, because some mistakes are not mistakes. If they're deliberate acts, intentional acts, and they're not mistakes, you know what you're doing, and it may be wrong and you're still doing it. So you have to be accountable and responsible for what you get in return.
Thank you so much, Sujata. So, Selena, you've heard everybody share now. What are your thoughts about how do we treat people who make mistakes?
Okay, Coach Liza. So yes, I have heard everyone's contribution, and I would. So I would say that for myself personally, I can only speak from that, right? And I can say old self. So let's go back to old self before Christ was very absolute in my thinking, I guess, to some extent. And if you made a mistake, then yeah, I kind of ruled with an iron fist, right? With velvet gloves on, but I kind of ruled like, no, how could you do that, right? Now I would say, because of one in knowing that we all are apt to make mistakes, then I am looking at it through the lens of Christ. I say, extend grace to that person. I feel that if someone has done something, then it's only fair to have open and transparent conversation with them and find out. But if they continue to do it, then it's not a thing of it being a mistake anymore. Now it's actually quite intentional. So at that point in time, I feel that person does need to be held accountable, and whatever actions needs to be taken. But at least initially have that conversation, right? Because there's some things that there's absolutely no right or wrong, right? There's some things that's absolutely right, and there's some things that's absolutely wrong. And we know that. Innately, we know that. So if you continue to do it after being spoken to openly and transparently about it, then yeah, it's intentional. So then I have to make a decision as to how I want to engage with that person going forward. Either I remove myself from the equation or remove them from the equation. So, but the goal at this point in time is always to first find out, have conversation, extend grace, and then take it from there. But of course, hold them accountable for their actions. So that's my take, Coach Les. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sister Selena. Appreciate it. And Sujata, what do you think? Sujata.
My mic was not coming off. I was pressing the buttons, but nothing was happening. Anyway, yes, so I agree the in intents matter and actions matter, and you have to define in context of absolutes, right and wrongs also. It's not a mistake when you commit heinous crimes. That is not a mistake if you intentionally do things. So I don't think that I would, give grace and all that, because there is, why have we created a judicial system if it is not to make people accountable for their actions? So there are some things which are absolutes, but there are also everyday life where we, may be too harsh or judgmental on people, so-called mistakes, because they may be doing things which they are not aware of, or they don't have bad intentions. It may come out wrongly, so you need to have conversations, or you need to look at it first with an open mind before you pass a judgment and call it a mistake. That's my take.
Mm. So
This is not like a accounting system where you make a mistake in, you know you put two and two, and instead of four you put five. Yeah, that is a mistake. But in life, everything is not exactly the same, is it?
Well, so I looked up the definition in the dictionary. What does mistake stand for? And if we look at it as a noun, it's an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong.
Coach, can I say something?
Let me just say the verb thing first, what it is as a verb, and then I'll give it to you, Michelle. So mistake as a verb is to be wrong about something. To be wrong about something. To be wrong about something is a mistake. So go ahead, Michelle.
Is there two different things of mistakes? Okay, put that in the wrong drawer, or I gave that dog a wrong food or whatever. That I don't know, example, like you misplaced something by mistake. Mistake, that's not really a sin, but sin is when you wrong someone. People misuse that word. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just
like I'm just going a mistake. We all make mistakes, but to like a mistake, people misunderstand what mistake and sin is. Like if I drop my book by accident, that's not a sin. But when we wrong someone, or we steal or whatever, or we sinned, that's a sin, and that's a mistake too. But it's more of a sin. But dropping a book or something, or tripping over a shoe, I made a mistake. I fell down. So they're two different things. Maybe I'm confusing everyone. I'm sorry.
No,
we don't use that word sin. That's what I'm saying. It would have been a sin for me if I kept being angry at her and revenge because of this happened to my cat.
Yes. Yep. And for me, one of the things, as everybody knows about me, I'm all about integrity and communications integrity. So when I hear the word mistake, it goes against what would have integrity. Is it getting finished in a complete way, shape, or form that was part of the agreement?
Makes sense.
And when I look at integrity and restoring integrity. If I make a mistake, I was aligned to do something, I didn't do it. By when I said I would do it, or I didn't do it at all, and I realized that it was a mistake, I go back. My job is to clean it up. Go ahead, Joey. Brother Joey?
Oh. Yeah, is there a difference between a mistake and an accident? And I'll give you the example. Coach, I've asked you, because we're neighbors, would you mind feeding my dogs for me this weekend, because we're going out of town? But Coach, there's a bag of food that I did not get a chance to throw away. It has mold in it, and it was actually it's bad. It could really be hurtful for the dog. And you can't feed that food to my dogs. Matter of fact, my one dog got really sick. We had to take it to the vet. The other food is there, but I didn't get a chance to throw it away. Can you please not mix up the food? Joey, I got it. I love dogs, and I'm not gonna feed the dog the wrong food. I'm staying away from using the word mistake. You heard me. So you fed the dog the wrong food. Was that a mistake or an accident? Did you accidentally give him the wrong food because you weren't paying attention, or did you make a mistake? And I don't know. It seemed like a good example when I first was thinking of it, but is there a difference between a mistake and an accident? Like I accidentally cut your rose bush when I was cutting my rose bushes. Did you make a mistake, or was it an accident?
Accident.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm trying to figure out too, because then how would we respond? How do we respond to someone making a mistake? How do we respond for someone making a genuine, like it was an accident, they didn't mean to do it? And I don't know if we'll be able to fully answer this in this short period of time, but I think that's got to be part of the conversation. When I order food at the fast food, that seems like when I get angry the most, right? When my order is wrong. I just drove home 25 minutes. I checked the bag. No. So here you go. I didn't check the bag. So the person behind the counter making my food got the order wrong. So I'm mad at him. My wife's mad at me because she tells me every single time, you're supposed to check the food before you leave. So in her eyes, I made the mistake. So that's, to me, that's everyday life, right? That's where I'm kind of sitting on this right now, like where I struggle the most with how I respond to mistakes and accidents. And I'll yield right there, because that's everyday life for me. That's life as Joe. Hey.
So I think that one of the definitions I'm looking up here, so I've been just kind of bouncing around a little bit here, and it says, what's the difference between an accident and a mistake? Accident is something that you do wrong for the first time. Mistakes are doing the same thing again while knowing that it is wrong.
Yeah, sure. I could see that. I accidentally didn't check it. No, I didn't check the food. My wife would explain it to you all so much differently than I'm explaining. She probably would say I was just being irresponsible than anything. Yeah, but go ahead. And it's usually her order that they mess up.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but that's funny. Sujata, your comment?
Yeah, I like the chair, accidents and mistakes, because something done unintentionally is an accident. It's only when you repeat something which was not supposed to happen, if you do that again and again, then it is no longer an accident, right? Then it is not even beyond, it's even beyond mistake, then it's like a deliberate intentional act. So mistake is when you accidentally do something unintentionally, and people should be understanding about it and not beat you up, because you already are, sorry for that, and you never meant to do something wrong. So yeah, it requires the other person to look at you with some kindness, compassion, acceptance, and just let it go.
Yeah.
So can I interject a little bit?
Of course you can.
So from Joey's example, thank you, Coach Les. So from Joey's example, then can we glean that? Can we assume that the food, the person at the restaurant, right, made, and let's say it was an accident, because he has no way, unless he continue to get the same person over and over, that's messing up, right? Now we can say that's a mistake. But in Joey's case, we can say it's a mistake because he just admit that it's always his wife's food that, or very, very often it's her order that's being messed up. But she's always saying to him, you need to check before you leave. So wouldn't that be a perfect example, I guess, of the food with the person at the restaurant potentially it being an accident, but with Joey it being a mistake?
Well, I would say mine is a I would say mine is a mistake, and mine is probably just not being thorough. And I'll take full responsibility. Mine's a mistake. Mine's not being thorough. Mine's being irresponsible. Mine's not right. I shouldn't be doing it. But you know what though? For the fast food person, unless it was the first time, I don't know. I don't know if that's an accident, because you have to think about it. They don't make, if they made 1,000 hamburgers, right, a day, and they made 10 of those wrong, right? They got 10 customers coming back saying that this was wrong. That's not an accident. That's a mistake. That's something that they're doing, whether they're distracted, it could be a lot of different things why they made it wrong. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's an accident. I'm not sure, unless it's the very first time they did it. But I don't think it's an accident. I think it's a mistake. I think that when you're in a fast food restaurant and you've been trained right, and the orders come in and you're working, I think you're making a mistake. I think you didn't read the ticket right, or you didn't. Now, is it a mistake that should be punished, or that's punishable? No, because look, anything. I'm in the food restaurant service, right? So I know how easy it is to have it say no cheese, and you still put cheese on it. So it's not a huge mistake, unless you're my wife who got it wrong, who got her food wrong. But I'd love to hear your thought on that, Selena. But no, I don't see it being a mistake. I mean, I don't see it being an accident. It's definitely a mistake. It's just not the world's biggest mistake. Unfortunately for me, I tend to get more frustrated, though. It seems like on those scenarios than I do when I'm. What you guys didn't hear me before say was I seem to get more frustrated in those kind of scenarios of mistakes than when I'm in a leadership position and mistakes get made. It feels like when I'm in my posture to lead and to coach and to direct, I'm already kind of expecting there to be rooms for teachable moments with knowing that there can be mistakes that will be made, and I usually handle those very calmly, and I don't overreact. It seems when my posture is different and I'm starving and it's raining and I can't believe that they didn't come up with something better to eat. They were home all day and now they want me to go get dinner at 8 o'clock, and then it gets wrong. That's usually when I'm frustrated and I respond wrongly to mistakes.
Okay. I can totally understand that then. I can totally understand that. So I feel like then in that case, then it would be behoove you to call the restaurant and whoever, call the restaurant and bring it to their attention so that person can be held accountable. That's just my take.
And so I want to just chime in here a second.
I'm actually going to get ready to jump off in a little bit because my room starts in 2 minutes.
All right. The one thing I want to share, though, before you jump, Selena, is remember, integrity is about honoring our word, not necessarily keeping it. So if we don't keep it, some people, our word, or we break our word, and somebody says, well, it was a mistake, I apologize. It's like, okay, so you apologize and it was a mistake. Big deal. Are you going to take it one step further and ask me what the impact was and be responsible for the impact of the mistake or of the out integrity? So for me, this is why I love the integrity wheel of life. I like, is it working or not working? Did it break or is it whole? When we use words like mistake, right or wrong, good or bad, those words always create emotional disparity. Does that make sense, Selena?
Yes, it absolutely does. It does make a lot of sense. So thank you much for your contribution. And I am going to be exiting. Love you all to life. Continue enjoying the conversation.
And I will go ahead and post the link to the Clutter to Clarity because we'll be closing down here and we'll send everybody there.
Thank you.
Sujata, what were you going to say?
No, I was just thanking Selena for stopping by.
Joey, you were going to say something.
Oh, I mic'd on accident, but I was going to say, but I will say when you were just saying about the integrity part of it, that's why it is. So that's why it's really important for us to respond and not react, if possible, to when someone makes a mistake. Because if we're going to have a really good conversation with somebody about what was done and the mistake, and for them to feel comfortable to share, for you to share on how it impacted you, and for them to share how they can take responsibility for it, that conversation doesn't happen in a hostile environment.
Amen.
So it made me think of that. Yeah, it doesn't happen inside of a hostile environment. So it's a good thing to stay as calm as we can to communicate.
Amen. Amen. Sujata, what is your take on what I said?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean,
That's hilarious.
Why is it hilarious?
Because absolutely right. After I just said it's not about wrong or right.
But I also said that there are some things which are absolutes, and I can absolutely agree with you on certain things.
Yeah.
So I think in context, what I'm saying is does make sense.
And I think what you just did right there, though, is the key ingredient, Sujata. And I'm glad you did it, because for me, to explain the context allows people to create a right and a wrong in a situation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The difficulties that I continue to see is the moral obligation that happens in some of the, and I chose this. How do we treat people who make mistakes? I chose this purposefully because of what's been going on in Clubhouse over the past couple of weeks, because there's a couple of people that have made mistakes in business. And some people say, well, you've been cheating them. You lied. You did this. You did that. And it was wrong. And when you look and see, when you dig a little bit below the surface, you start to find out, oh, there was a whole missing paragraph of conversation that somebody chose to neglect sharing with us, specifically, I believe, to have it look like this person was a lot darker, a lot more negative, a lot more guilty than is actually the case. Does that communicate?
Yes. Yes. And that's what I'm saying, that if, without knowing everything, we tend to quickly judge based on what we are hearing without actually fact finding, cross checking, and seeing the whole picture. And there could be so many reasons, there could be so many explanations, there could be so many sides to a story, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to just have a public platform where we go hammer and tongs without really knowing the whole thing and placing our judgment and analysis on it. And it's like having our own courtrooms, courtroom dramas, where the person is there, should explain, and to everyone's this thing.
I think so. What that leaves me with is, what does having these courtroom dramas do to society as a whole? That question makes sense, Sujata?
Yes, it does. That's a whole new topic.
I know, that's for tomorrow.
That's right.
I want to put a plug out there for tomorrow. And I'm curious to hear what Emmy has to say about how do we treat people who make mistakes. Hi, Emmy.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Blessed, highly favored, and better than phenomenal.
I try to avoid them. That's what I do.
There you go, Sujata. That's the first answer like that tonight. I try to avoid them.
Yeah, I was just listening about Brother Joey mentioning about the restaurant. So there is like a stigma or something, I don't know what it is. When I go to the Ethiopian restaurant, this is my own culture and people. Usually I go by myself when I'm hungry or when I am kind of craving for it, because I've been away for so long. I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know. And I'm by myself, so I don't put much intention to learn it. So, but when I go there, it takes them a lot more to come to me, or when I order the food is wrong. It's like, even the tea is wrong. A simple tea. I ordered a ginger tea, and it felt like it was washed ginger instead of real fresh ginger made. They told me it was fresh. Oh, I said, oh, good, I want to try it. And then I could do better at home. I was like, no. So I stopped going to those places anymore. So if they keep doing it, why should I put myself in a place of constantly being treated wrong, or so it might not be the same person, but it feels like that way. So I said, wait, I don't want to put myself in that position anymore. If I want to do it, then I'm gonna, whatever I crave, I'm gonna try to make it myself. So stay away from it. But when it comes to work, that's different because it's a matter of life and death. So I put myself in there and do teachable moments.
What do you do for work again, Emmy?
This is recorded.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Healthcare.
Got it. Okay. I wasn't sure, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, healthcare.
Because you mentioned life and death. That's why it struck a chord. Yeah. And I appreciate that, one of the things that, and this is every business, right? It's not just healthcare. It's businesses where it involves the public or involves people, and a service where the service could be delivered in a way that lacks workability, i.e., lacks integrity, and it creates a situation. For me, how do we treat people who make mistakes? During COVID, I believe a lot of people in the healthcare system got treated very, very poorly. And I say that because I think people took out their upset, took out their aggression, took out their anger on the healthcare workers. Now, I'm not saying everybody. I just know there was a certain population that did. And it was very disturbing for me. Just like taking it out on a server when the meal comes and the chef made a mistake and it wasn't cooked the way it was supposed to be. Go ahead, Emmy. I saw you take yourself off mute.
Yeah, so there is a situation that needs to be addressed. That is separating like the sin from the sinner kind of thing. And when things is coming at you, so everything is customer service. It doesn't matter healthcare, it doesn't matter whatever. Everything in life is customer service. Our friends are a part of that customer service. Our families are a part of customer service. Everything in life is customer service. To me, with that in mind, if things is happening to me, and to others, what I teach is detach yourself and see the things in a way to say, is this, I was just having this discussion yesterday with one person. Do this thing, do I need to internalize it or do I need to assess it? Internalizing is bringing it to somebody else's problem, bringing it into ourselves, carrying it to ourselves, and eating it ourselves, like in a way, like poisoning ourselves kind of thing is what I think of it. But assessing it, analyzing it is different. Okay, this happened, this person did it this way, or he responded this way, for example. What can I change about it? What can I treat about it? How can I turn this thing to positive? By not taking it to my shoulder, but by just evaluating it, what can I correct? That's how I want me and others to I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Coach, you're better than I am, so I'm just putting this out to you guys. So that's how I want people around me that works with me for me to do it, and I do it as well. I used to carry it personally. I used to take things personal. I don't anymore. I don't. I will reevaluate, reassess, take my time, and say, what can I change? How can I fix this thing for this person who is dissatisfied? Is there anything else can be done? But I wouldn't, whatever they did, I got a good shield that would protect me to say, no, I will not take the stress. I will not take the anxiety. I will not pick up anything that doesn't belong to me. That's how I function. And that's how I want others functions in the area. But be able to pick up and say, wait a minute, how, without me picking it, how can I make it better for the person? There used to be an acronym, FIRE. I can't remember now what that stands for. Maybe you guys remember it. I think first apologize. There's a lot of steps to it. So that's where I go for, without carrying it or making it internalized. Let me hear it from you guys. How do you deal with it?
Which are you thinking of? FIRE meaning fight, intensity, relentless excellence?
No, this one comes from the side of a customer service. You know, first hear it, apologize, and something. I can't remember. When I remember it, I'll bring it to you. But there is an acronym like turn off the fire kind of thing. Listen to them, apologize, and fix it kind of thing. But I remember the word that was an acronym. It's many years ago, but yeah, I can't specify it now.
Yeah, I was looking on Google to see if there was one. And I don't see anything. Sorry. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Emmy. Robert, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, we're just closing up shop, but we'd love to hear, how do we treat people who make mistakes? If you want to give us a couple minutes of thought process on that before we close the door.
Absolutely. Hello, Sujata, Joey, Jeanette, Emmy. Good to see you guys. You know what? It's human nature. Everybody makes mistakes, and some mistakes are more egregious than others. But I think that you have to have an open mind. You have to be understanding, and you have to have a point of relationship, a point of reference with the person that's making, quote, the mistake. Because I guess a mistake, you could say they did something wrong if it's a mistake, right? And so then that gets back to the right and wrong issue. I think that if we work towards all trying to achieve something individually, then we're all going to have mistakes. I mean, gosh knows, when Coach started this club, whenever I started online, before we became what we consider successful, man, it was just trying and trying and trying, you know? So there was no written playbook, if you will. We just kind of jumped in with all arms and went at it. Mistakes, yeah, a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. A lot of people lose a lot of money, make a lot of money, and, listen to other people. And, I think that it's a matter of just continuation. So no matter what, guys, the first thing is, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Write that down. It does not matter what anybody else says. You are perfect just the way you are. And as far as a mistake, who's the one to determine? I'm really curious if anybody has an answer. Who's the one to determine that what you did is a mistake? Let's think of that. Because that's saying that somebody else has the ability to tell you that what you're doing is not correct or not right. That's kind of an interesting concept. So I don't know. I think that we all have certain standards or our certain base morals, right? I think Coach will tell you that. We have certain responsibilities and we have understandings. But I think that we all do life in a different way. And as we do life, as long as we come out the other end at the point at which success is, what do we consider successful? That's what I like, Coach. That's what I'm thinking. And I think that's really, it's an awesome question. The only thing I get caught up with, Coach, and I'll ask you just a direct question, is number one, what is a mistake? And who has the ability to tell you that what you're doing is a mistake, right? Because that means there's right and wrong. So that means there's only one right way to do life, or one right way to be online or do podcasting or whatever. We all do different things. Do you have an answer for that, Coach? I don't know whether I do.
Well, it's interesting you would ask that question, because I'm going to pass that to Sujata, because Sujata's been sharing about that all night. Go ahead, Sujata.
I knew it. That's what you are going to do.
How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I liked your question because that's how I actually started it, that what is a mistake, who defines it, and then we can go on to how we treat. And yes, so it's depends on your mindset, and it depends on your actions, because some actions could be absolute and some actions not so absolute. So it would depend on context. I'll give a small example here.
I was just
You
going
know,
to say, isn't it, Coach, sometimes how we just live our lives trying to please other people, and what the populace or the popular group says is the right way to do something, or what is the popular way. But when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter what other people think, does it?
Well, in theory, it doesn't. We all live with these egos, though, and we're also human beings, and sometimes fall prey to the right and the not right and wrong.
I know what you're saying, brother.
We fall prey to, am I good enough?
Yes.
That's what we fall. It had nothing to do with right and wrong. It had to do with, am I good enough? Am I enough? Not even good enough. It's just, am I enough?
And one thing that we both know is that the number one thing that kills relationships, if you want to have a guaranteed disaster of a relationship with anybody, I want you to start using comparisons and expectations. Those two things. Let's just start in your mind what you expect, and start voicing that all day long, and start comparing that other person who's in your relationship to somebody else. Watch that relationship just self-destruct in minutes. Very, very powerful stuff for anybody who's, we all are, in a sense, we're coaches, but for people that we deal with, that's an important fact. Because if I'm talking to Jeanette and I have an expectation that she's going to be a certain way, then I'm either going to say, okay, well, you don't follow it, then I don't care, move on. I mean, that's kind of a negative feeling. If I compare Jeanette to Coach and I say, Coach is like, Coach talks a lot better than Jeanette, even though, it doesn't, then it's that right and wrong thing. Now, am I good enough? Wow. The answer is absolutely. Congratulations. Just by showing up in the world, guys. You guys all know this. Just by simply waking up, showing up, and doing what we do every single day, we are good enough. Why? Because there's a lot of people that simply are having such difficulty just putting their feet on the ground. Yet we're not putting our feet on the ground. We're changing lives, changing generational lives. That's what I say, Coach. And thank you, Sujata. I'm glad we're on point on that.
All right. Well, with that, Sujata, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think we've had an interesting conversation, and if we are going to continue tomorrow, that is going to be even more interesting. What you just said.
So just to clarify what we're going to continue tomorrow, and that's at 5 p.m. Central Standard, we're going to discuss. So today we discussed how do we treat people who make mistakes. The next continuation, part 2, is going to be how does it occur? What does having these courtroom dramas do to society as a whole?
Excellent and amazing topics. Wow. Go ahead, Amy. Excuse me.
I have a question for you, Robert, and everyone else.
Okay, Amy.
If in the service and while we're serving others, if people are not content, satisfied with our service, might not be right or wrong, but how do we deal with it is a good question, I think.
Okay.
That's where I'm.
So let me just kind of circle your question. You're saying if indeed you're in a customer service position, or you're dealing with people in a customer service way, and they don't feel you've met the mark, if you will, and they don't feel that you've met the standards that they have, what do we do? Is that kind of what I hear you saying?
Yes.
Well, do you work in a business that deals with customers? By the way, these are the dogs outside, guys. Sorry about that. Do you work in a place that deals with customers like a hotel or any type of business? Customer facing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
To me, everything in customer service.
Okay. Well, exactly. And so in customer service, we are the masters, and in training, you'll learn this as you keep coming to Coach's Room. We are the masters of our own destiny, and we're the masters of what we teach.
Sorry.
That's exactly what I would say. Did you go 100%? And what could we have done better? Right? Because there are some people, Emmy, who we just can't please. Some people cannot be pleased. They don't have the capacity to say, that was a great job. Right? That's where you say, you know what? I'm a superstar. I'm here. So that's how I would answer that. And I would, again, not give it any tolerance or any weight, because the whole purpose of life is to do what? To learn. Learn. To learn with love. To learn and love. So as we learn, all these experiences we have, and all these people that are telling us the things that we should be doing, maybe they might be right, but that just gives us a chance to expound and make our experiences better for the people. That's my opinion, Emily.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Okay.
All right. Well, I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to head over to the Clutter to Clarity room. And so I am just going to pull that up here briefly and make sure that everyone is able to go over to that room. And I will pin the link up, and then we will go ahead and oh boy, I don't know where it is. Okay. What did she do with it? Hold on. Clutter to Clarity. I
got it, Coach.
Thank you. So we'd love to have you come over to the Clutter to Clarity room. It's in process right now with Sulina. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming into this room tonight and sharing. And we look forward to tomorrow's discussion. The room is already set, and the StreamYard is all ready to go, so we'll be on time tomorrow. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And with that, I am going to say thank you to everybody. Oh, hi, Sister Catherine. How are you? Hi. And with that, I'm going to say cheerio to Pamela. Thank you for stopping in, Robert. Thank you, Emmy. Thank you, Sister Jeanette, Brother Joey, and my podcast host, Sujata. We will see you tomorrow
At the same time.
at the same time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Thank you.
And with that, we will do my fun ending. It's a little different here on while we are